Imagine being executed, not instantly, but slowly, over hours or even days. Throughout history, societies invented punishments so brutal that they were meant not just to kill, but to terrify entire populations. From being eaten alive by insects to being roasted inside a bronze statue, these are some of the most horrifying execution methods ever used in human history. Some of these punishments were designed to make death as slow and painful as possible. Others were meant to send a message of fear to anyone who dared to challenge authority. Today we explore 10 of the most terrifying execution methods in history. Number 1 might be the most disturbing of them all. If you enjoy dark historical stories and the hidden truths of the past, make sure to subscribe for more videos exploring the darker side of history. Now, let us begin. Scaphism was an execution method reportedly used in ancient Persia, and many historians consider it one of the most horrific punishments ever invented. The victim was placed between two small wooden boats or hollowed logs that trapped the body inside. Only the head, arms, and legs were left exposed. The prisoner was then force-fed large amounts of milk and honey. This mixture caused severe illness and attracted insects. The boats were placed in marshes or stagnant water, where flies and other insects gathered. Over time, the insects laid eggs on the victim's body. Maggots began to feed on the flesh, while the victim remained trapped and unable to escape. Death could take several days or even longer, making Scaphism one of the slowest and most agonizing executions ever described. Another terrifying punishment from history was Lingchi, which means death by 1,000 cuts. This method was used in imperial China for centuries and was usually reserved for crimes such as treason or the murder of family members. Instead of killing the condemned person immediately, the executioner made a series of cuts across the body over time. Each cut removed a small piece of flesh. The process was meant to prolong suffering while the victim remained conscious. Lingchi was often carried out in public so that crowds could witness the punishment. The practice continued for hundreds of years before it was finally abolished in 1905. In medieval Europe, criminals sometimes faced a brutal punishment known as the breaking wheel. The victim was tied to a large wooden wheel. An executioner then used a heavy iron bar or hammer to break the victim's bones. The arms and legs were shattered one by one. After the bones were broken, the body was woven through the spokes of the wheel. The wheel was then raised on a pole and displayed publicly. In some cases, the victim remained alive for hours or even days before finally dying. The purpose of this punishment was not just execution, but public humiliation and terror. One of the most well-known execution methods in ancient history was crucifixion. This method was widely used by the Roman Empire. Victims were nailed or tied to a wooden cross and left to hang for hours or even days. Death usually occurred through exhaustion and suffocation. As the body weakened, it became harder and harder to breathe. Crucifixion was often carried out along busy roads so that travelers would see the victims and understand the consequences of disobeying Roman authority. Few punishments were as feared as impalement. In this method, a sharpened wooden stake was forced through the victim's body. The stake was then planted upright in the ground. The victim's body slowly slid down the stake due to gravity. If done carefully, the stake could avoid vital organs and keep the victim alive for many hours. This method became especially infamous because of Vlad the Impaler, a ruler known for executing enemies by impalement. According to historical accounts, entire fields of impaled bodies were sometimes displayed to frighten invading armies. Ancient Greece reportedly invented one of the most disturbing execution devices ever imagined. It was called the brazen bull. This device was a hollow statue made of bronze in the shape of a bull. The condemned person was locked inside the statue. A fire was then lit underneath it. As the metal heated up, the person inside slowly roasted. The bull was designed with special pipes that transformed the victim's screams into sounds that resembled the roar of a bull. According to legend, even the inventor of the device was eventually executed inside his own creation. Another horrifying punishment used in several ancient civilizations was flaying. Flaying involved removing a person's skin while they were still alive. This method was practiced in ancient empires such as Assyria. The process was slow and extremely painful. Sometimes the skin of the victim was displayed on city walls as a warning to others. The purpose was not only punishment, but also psychological intimidation. During the Middle Ages, a torture device known as the Spanish donkey was sometimes used. The device was a wooden structure with a sharp triangular top. The victim was forced to sit on a narrow ridge. Heavy weights were tied to the person's legs. Over time, gravity pulled the body downward against the sharp edge. This caused severe injuries and eventually death. The process could take hours and was designed to prolong suffering. In medieval England, the punishment for treason was one of the most brutal executions ever practiced. It was called drawing and quartering. First, the prisoner was dragged to the execution site. Then the person was hanged, but not long enough to die. After that, the executioners cut open the body. Finally, the body was divided into 4 parts. These parts were displayed in different locations as a warning to others. This punishment was intended to show the consequences of betraying the crown. One of the most disturbing execution methods involved cutting a person in half with a large saw. In this method, the victim was hung upside down. Because blood rushed to the brain, the person often remained conscious longer. Executioners then began sawing through the body. This created a slow and extremely painful death. Historical accounts describe this as one of the most gruesome punishments ever recorded. These execution methods reveal a disturbing truth about the past. If you want to watch more horrifying content from history, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.